Alright, so in about 5 minutes we will go ahead and begin. If anyone is watching out there, hello, how are you doing tonight? If there's any issues with audio or anything of that sort, please by all means let me know. So far, everything seems to be good. May actually make absolute certain.
Sloppy!
Solnox, hey, thank you very much for the follow.
Is now following.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. We'll be starting officially in about 5 minutes. How's everything going tonight? Well, I hope. How would you prefer I say your name? Solnox, or would you prefer Silva? Oh man. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Anything is fine. I think I'll stick with Silva in that case. But yeah, I'm trying to stream every night at around the same time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So whenever you get a chance, you can pop in and see how I'm doing. Awesome. Awesome. And of course, if you got any friends who might be interested, hey, give me a shout. I'm trying to build up as best I can. And you know what? The more people watching, the better. Alright, let's see. It's about 2 minutes, but you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing started. Here we go. Alright, Alphino, what's up? Elijah, do you have some time to talk? I absolutely do. I'd like to gather everyone in Dawn's Respite and together assess the situation in which we find ourselves. Alright, sounds like a plan. Let me know if any of the volume levels are too high, too low, or anything like that. Let's take stock of the facts, shall we? The crisis at hand began with the sudden appearance of ominous towers in a multitude of locations throughout the world. We have since learned that said structures were brought into being by an organization known as the Telophoroi. The Telophoroi's stated purpose is to recreate the final days of eons past, an apocalyptic event that would result in the destruction of all we hold dear. Already have these towers of theirs been the cause of untold suffering. Countless innocents kidnapped and imprisoned, their faith perverted for primal summonings. And unless we find a way to deal with the corruptive aura surrounding the spires, we can't even get close enough to rescue anyone. Those shielded with the blessing of light seem to be able to resist being tempered, at least. But after what happened to Arnvald and Fordola, we need to be very, very careful about how we proceed. And while these threats close to home are of paramount concern, we mustn't lose sight of the situation in Garlemald. As you know, the Telophoroi are under the leadership of Vandaniel and one other delightful fellow, Xenosie Galvis, the Crown Prince and our dear friend. To date, he's reclaimed his old body, murdered Emperor Varus, and plunged Garlemald into an even deeper pit of chaos. The capital has probably seen the worst of it. For a good while there, I saw the bloodiest fighting in the War of Succession, but that has since changed, and in troubling ways. During our reconnaissance, the air was not once rent by the barking of cannons or the cries of discord. 'Twas an eerie fog of silence which did blanket that ruined city. The inhabitants appeared to have been tempered, and with nary a word spoken did they labor to transform the palace into a soaring edifice born of nightmares. They were indeed made thralls. It seems safe to assume that these events, too, were orchestrated by the Telophoroi. An army of primals is awful enough, but in light of recent developments, I fear it is only the prelude to an even greater catastrophe. Yeah, none of this sounds good. We need to devise a means to counter this threat, and quickly, before our allies are overwhelmed. We'll find a way in Sharlayan, I am sure of it. Absolutely, Graha. Master Forshno's comments regarding the final days were curious, to say the least. The Forum knows more than it is letting on. Hey, Tataru. Sorry to interrupt. We just received word from Mistress Kryl. She says that arrangements for your visit have been finalized. Yes! You're to head to Limsa Liminsa and board the next ship bound for Sharlayan. And on arrival, present yourselves as associates of the students of Beltesian, come to assist with the Order's restoration. Let's do it. The arrangements may be settled, but what of your thoughts? You must race at the prospect of returning home after so long. I'm eager to see it, of course. Of course. We should set off at once. Alright, we're going to Sharlayan. Let's do it. And I'll accompany you to the docks. You need at least one person there to wave and cry and wish you a safe journey. Tataru. Let's go. Right. Off to Limsa. Let's go. And if there's any issues with volume, or if I'm too quiet or the game is too quiet, by all means, let me know. I'll fix it on the fly. We'll be good. Looks like everything's still loading in, so I'll just wait here a second. What a grim reason to bring you to Sharlayan. Not so much to be done about it, I suppose, but I would have liked to give you the grand tour under happier circumstances. Though part of me looks forward to returning home, I've not forgotten that my father has stripped us of the privileges of our family name. I hope it doesn't cause trouble with officials upon arrival. Yeah, that would be an issue. Might have lived in Master Matoya's cave for a good part of my life, but even for me the thought of returning to Sharlayan is quite exciting. I can hardly imagine how it is for the others who lived there most of their lives. Yeah, that's kind of a thing. Y'shtola didn't grow up in Sharlayan. I shudder to think what manner of truth awaiteth us, god damn it, Oriange, beyond the indigo deep. Still more do I dread the prospect of discussions long overdue. Contrary to what you might think, this will be like going home for me as well. I may have learned how to survive in Limsa Lominsa, but it was in Sharlayan where I was taught, quite relentlessly, I might add, the skills to properly live. I never thought the day would come when I would be sailing home again. It always seems so very far away, yeah. Sea travel can be tedious, but I don't mind it. It is a rare experience for most Ishgardians. Alright, let's do it. Everyone's here, which is good because I've already paid for your passage, and the fee is non-refundable. The ship for Sharlayan should be pulling into port soon, so please follow me and have all your luggage close at hand. Alright, let's do it. I recognize that Lalafell. He was with the Samurai Quest. The one in green.
They've almost finished loading our cargo. We should be ready to depart right on schedule. Or so I'm told.
Schedule.
Excellent. 'Tis nice to have a smooth beginning to one's journey, at the very least.
It's funny. Master Louis Soir came here on a ship very much like this one. And now, years later, the street urchin he befriended that day is bound for his mentor's homeland. With his mentor's grandchildren, no less.
Aye. 'Tis upon reflection that every twist of time's river and fate's whims are brought into sharp relief. Thou hast matured much in the intervening years. Wert thou not caught attempting to relieve Master Louis Soir of his purse scant moments after he made landfall upon this dock?
Oh. Damn, Thancred.
Oh, really? Now
That's a tale I'd like to hear.
Will this be your first visit to Sharlayan, Sir Estinian? Sir Estinian?
Are we strangers newly met? Why this stiff formality?
I, merely meant it as a professional courtesy, since we are now colleagues in an official sense.
I'd rather you dispense with the sirs, especially in private company. Or I'll be forced to respond in kind, little Lord Alphino.
You've made your point, Estinian. Painfully well.
Better.
Ah, that's great.
Are you all right, Tataru? You seem positively distraught.
Distraught? Me? Don't be silly. I think it's lovely that they get to see their homeland. It's just, we're trying to thwart the schemes of an army hellbent on destroying the world. And once again, I have to stay behind and worry that this is the last time I'll get to see my friends.
I'll bring them back safe and sound. I promise.
I'll hold you to that.
Ah, good. You're still here.
Ori! Coltane!
Ori! Coltane! What brings you all this way?
We're to assist the Maelstrom and the Kobolds with a lunar primal operation, so we thought we'd see you off before heading to the tower. Flamine and the others wish you all a safe journey, and promise that they'll look after things here until you return. We will too, of course. Aye, we your fellow Scions of the Seventh Dawn will do our part to ensure the end of the world won't happen on our watch.
Hell yeah.
We're set to sail! All aboard for Sharlayan!
Time to go.
It's time.
Then we must delay no longer. We will contact you the moment we learn aught of value. Wish us luck.
Have a safe journey, and please, please, be careful.
And so you venture forth unto the unknown.
Emmett?
A fate beyond the horizon that cannot be divined. A future undefined and in flux.
It's absolutely Emmett.
In uncertain times, naught but the simplest words of wisdom will suffice. That which lives is destined to die. Love leads to loss. Every beginning has an end. Treasure every moment, every step of your descent.
Damn, I just got chills.
And there, in the depths where souls and stars rest, find your truth.
Oh, that's so good. That is awesome.
Feel. Think.
The day has barely dawned, my fellow earlier riser. Though we're hardly alone in that. Envious of those still sleeping soundly, no doubt.
So have you heard Heidelin?
Called out to you, you say? I've heard nothing myself. In any case, I dare say the sea air will do you good. Why not join the others on deck? Sharlayan should be coming into view at any moment.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Oh, the last time I heard this song, things didn't go so well. It's Heidelin.
My voice yet reaches you. I am glad. Hear, feel, think. And thus do we meet face to face at last. My warrior of light, guided by the crystal.
Why now?
After your sojourn in the First, I believe you have your answer. You have gained an understanding of what I truly am, what Heidelin has always been, a primal. Zodiac was created to forestall the apocalypse which threatened the ancient world, and I was brought forth to bind him. Yet 7 times now, those who would orchestrate a return to that bygone era have rejoined a shard to the god I had sundered. The greater his strength grows, the swifter does mine own diminish. The power to draw your mind into the rift betwixt is no longer mine to wield. Yet though it taxes me sorely, I dare not leave these words unsaid. Even bereft of my guidance, you and your companions have accepted the burden of this star's troubled past. A conjunction has begun to form, an intertwining of your time and mine. Wheels shudder and turn. Conflict looms, monumental, which will decide the fate of this world and all life upon it.
I've been there before, and I've beaten whatever came across.
When you truly understand what is at stake, and your journey has prepared you to surmount the insurmountable, then shall I honor the promise made in another time, another age.
Did she make a promise to Azim or something?
us to the fore, folks. Sharlayan's just over yonder.
I will not keep you further. Your traveler's heart must yearn to behold this unfamiliar land. We shall meet again, and soon.
Huh. All right. What does she mean by a promise?
Oh, what a fine morning. Oh, still a bit stiff though.
And a good morning to you too. Taken a look at the island already?
No, I haven't.
Then let's go. Let's go. Might still be room in the prow if we're lucky.
All right.
Ah, the sleepers have arisen. There she is. Good old Sharlayan.
Oh, I see it.
Wow. It's a pretty nice view.
Home. Home at last. Well, maybe not in Father's eyes. But we'll manage on our own, if we must.
You do know you're not alone in this, don't you?
Indeed, 'tis as Sir Estinian saith. Forget not the comrades who boarded this ship at your side, I prithee.
Thank you, my friends. We are ever grateful for your steadfast support.
Upon arrival, we will be disembarking into the heart of Sharlayan proper. There is no greater concentration of wisdom in all the world. I am confident that somewhere within that center of knowledge and learning, we will find the answers we seek.
Absolutely. Oh, that title card. Yes, let's go. Hello, Akio.
Sharlayan, the solitary island nation of the northern seas. Where under the watchful gaze of Thaliak, patron deity of scholars, academics hoard all manner of knowledge and secrets. Once, they deigned to accept foreign students into a distant colony maintained in the Dravanian hinterlands. How swiftly they abandoned it once the first Garlean boot set hostile foot on Alamegan soil. So averse to the prosecution
All right,
of war,
Azzy.
these men of wisdom, your would-be allies.
I thought they'd never let us off the ship. What's next then? Entry applications?
Hopefully they find no cause to deny us.
You guys, maybe. What about me and Estinian?
Hasn't Sharlayan all but severed relations with foreign powers? Those of us without direct ties, myself included, may be refused outright.
'Tis true that, as a nation, Sharlayan only forms trade agreements with a select few neutral countries. But from a practical standpoint, an island cannot afford to be overly strict with its borders. Especially not if that island's people are wholly devoted to the accumulation of knowledge. If one submits the proper paperwork, with satisfactory evidence of identity and intent, then foreigners may be granted entry.
Well, that's good to know.
May.
Estinian's got a
Quite.
point.
So let us be absolutely clear on these points before we proceed. The immigration officer will ask for your affiliation and your purpose of visit. Considering Sharlayan's views on intervention, I strongly suggest we avoid any mention of the Scions. Kral has laid the groundwork for us to act as associates of the students of Baldessian, and our ostensible reason for being here is to aid in their order's restoration.
Alright, solid.
Grahatir, it might expedite our progress should an actual student be seen at the head of our little group. Would you mind leading the way?
Of course. The immigration officers were this way, as I recall. Shall we? Greetings. We've just arrived and are eager to make our way into the city. Would you be so kind as to process our entry applications?
Certainly. I see by your mark you are an Archon.
I am. Grahat here of the Students of Baldessian at your service. I was assigned to an Eorzean survey team, but have returned to assist with the reformation of my order. My associates here will provide additional support.
Very good. I have paperwork detailing your group and its scheduled arrival for today.
Seems like the no-nonsense secretary type.
And it seems some few of your companions are also Archons. If you'll step forward, we can process those applications first.
Ishtola rule.
See how it glows? That list is etherically linked with a citizen registry kept in the main repository.
Interesting.
I've confirmed your status as Archons and amended your travel records accordingly. Welcome home.
So I guess it's like a ether-based internet? That's interesting.
Now, who do we have here?
Let's see how bad fortune will fuck these two over.
Alphino Leveilleur.
And Alize Leveilleur.
Your applications have also been approved. Having said that,
Oh, here we go.
the streets are abuzz with talk of how House Leveilleur's lord disowned his young progeny.
Oof. That's not good.
And while such personal circumstances constitute no reason to deny you entry, I urge you to avoid exacerbating your present situation. Times are quite troubled enough already.
We shall keep that in mind.
Alphino.
These last two are not Sharlayan natives, but you will find their credentials are in order. An application was made in advance.
Name and occupation?
Let's see. I need a good cover to make sure I get in properly. Adventurer? Nah, they'd probably look down on that. Champion of Eorzea. That's a bit pretentious. I'll go with Artisan.
Indeed. Your profile describes you as an adventurer, but one also trained in the rather more constructive pursuits of procurement and production. You may enter. And you, sir?
Estinian Valino, formerly of the Order of the Knights Dragoon in Ishgard.
Formally, at least. And what, pray tell, is your profession now?
Estinian. Come on, dude.
If you'll allow me...
Hey, Kryl.
My associate is a mercenary, hired for his strength at arms. Surely you are aware of the dangers we often face on our forays into the wilderness.
Mistress Baldessian, if you insist on sponsoring his entry, then so be it. But while I appreciate that desperate times call for desperate measures, I find your choice of company concerning. Be advised that even a single misstep may have severe repercussions for your organization.
I have every confidence in my chosen company, dear and trusted comrades that they are. But I thank you for your concern.
Croyle, it is good to see you.
Likewise. Long voyage notwithstanding, you all seem none the worse for wear. There is much to discuss, but this is hardly the place. Let's be on our way, shall we?
The music for this place is great.
Welcome, friends, to Sharlayan.
As your mercenary, I should hope my welcome includes a generous salary.
Well, I had to say something, Sir Taciturn.
Sir Taciturn, Sir Unemployed Slob. Wow, look at this place. And it's snowing. Interesting. I am unaccustomed to fabricating lies on demand. Why should it matter how I earn my living? Are you earning a living though, Estinian? Anyway. Here we are at last, the great city of Sharlayan. You may have noticed some similarities with Crystarium, yes? In fact, Oh, but we really should let Kryl have her say first. We can continue this conversation at another time. You designed the Crystarium to be like Sharlayan, didn't you, Graha? A little homesick, I guess. I can't really blame him. You are doubtless eager to take in the sights. Not to worry, Elijah. The city is not like to vanish before we finish our discussion. I'd hope not. Even allowing that the years I spent in the first passed here in the blink of an eye, the city still feels untouched by time. Huh. Allow me to extend unto thee my warmest welcome, Elijah. May the wisdom of my homeland aid us in our endeavors. Well, I hope so. That was about as awkward as expected. Still, we're here now, and that's all that matters. Yeah? I'm fine, honestly. Better to be waved through with a stern warning than be denied entry, after all. True. Alright, Cryo. I'm glad I spotted your ship coming into port. The officers are born bureaucrats and sticklers for detail. In any case, you may relax and take a moment to get your land legs back. Alright. I had thought to launch directly into an explanation of what I've learned and how we might proceed. But this is Elijah and Estinian's first time in Sharlayan, and for the rest of you, a homecoming that was long overdue. You must have places you want to visit, and people you're dying to see. Therefore, I propose we postpone our agenda so that you'll have sufficient time to recover from your journey. Get your bearings in the city. Okay. Once you've settled in, we can reconvene at the Baldassian Annex. How does that sound? Yeah, sounds good. A fine suggestion. We may not be welcome at the Levior estate as such, but I should like to nose around the neighborhood all the same. I'm equally untethered, as it were. There's no particular place that my kin call home. Still, I would not pass up the opportunity to reacquaint myself with the city. Likewise, a quick tour of my old haunts might even yield some useful gossip. The annex was west of the Aetherite Plaza, was it? Okay. Two have places I would be remiss in not visiting forthwith, by thy leave. Have you, Estinian? My services as a guide are yours for the asking. Won't be necessary. Until we reconvene, I prefer to wander as the wind takes me. So he's probably gonna get into trouble somewhere. She wanted to go with the Estinian. Well, Raha, would you like to join us then? You've been gone for quite a while. This would be the perfect way to refresh those dusty old memories of yours. Of course, if you'll have me. Sharlayan awaits. Alright. So much around here. After you, my friend. I'm more than content to follow your lead. Okay. Huh, this is new. With all the unusual wares coming and going at all hours, I expect the assistance of an intrepid adventurer will be highly appreciated. Seeing no reason why you couldn't undertake any tasks which pique your interest. You've been cleared by the immigration officials, after all. I look forward to the day your name is celebrated in Sharlayan the same way it is in Eorzea. Huh. This place is called the Peristyle. It is the first stop for cargo unloaded at the docks. Find the usual necessities for daily living and other imports vital to running an island nation, but also supplies that further Sharlayan's pursuit of knowledge, namely large quantities of books, specimens, and samples. Sorting these sacks certainly seems to keep the attendants busy. Huh. Ethernet shard. Nice. Now that is a sight one could hardly forget. The great statue of Thaliak. As a student of Baldesion, I was usually quartered on the Isle of Val, but I would gaze upon the scholar's wise features every time I returned by ship to the city. That is a really cool statue, though. This path leading out towards the sea is known as the Thaliak Stoa, so named for the statue of the scholar which stands at its end. As you know, the Sharlayan people prize the accumulation of wisdom above all else. Thus, when Thaliak was chosen as our patron deity, it was more a Wow, I can't speak. I'm having trouble with my words. Thus, when Thaliak was chosen as our patron deity, it was more a matter of pragmatism than belief, an alignment of principles, as it were. We may have honored him with a rather impressive sculpture, yes, but our faith is not so restrictive as that of, say, the Ishgardians. Individual Sharlayans can, and do, worship the divinities of their choosing. Okay. And here we are, the last stand. I may have mentioned this before, but although our research into nutrition and food preparation is quite extensive, the average Sharlayan tends to regard seasoning and flavor with a certain indifference. Okay. How can I put this? The food is, it's bland. As encapsulated by our infamous Archon loaf, the prevailing sentiment towards cuisine is dietary value first and taste a distant second. There was one pupil at the studium, however, who could stomach the school's insipid meals no longer. So he quit his lessons and poured all his savings into building a proper eatery. And so the last stand came to be. It is, as the name implies, the sole dedicated outpost of fine dining in Sharlayan, the one and only bastion of the culinary arts in an isle of otherwise mediocre fare. I seem to recall their burger being hailed as one of the more impressive items on its menu. Not that I ever had the pleasure of eating one myself. Because you were a typical Sharlayan when it came to cheap and convenient Raha. But surely Tataru has since taught you how to appreciate a well-prepared dish, and we should all stop in when the time permits and sample the cafe's delights. Shall we press on? The stairs to the side of the cafe will take us up to the Aetherite Plaza. Well, first things first. Do they have anything for sale? Some Archon loaf. This food does look really good, though. Oh, that sandwich. Oh, they've got little packaged boxes. That's pretty cool. Wow, this is like a whole modern cafe shop kind of deal. Look at that. Little like cappuccino cups, sugar bowls. That's so cool. Oh, I want all of these for housing items. Nope. Yeah, I'll go ahead and grab this before I go to the main Aetheryte Plaza. The music here is so good. An unusual shape, isn't it? I assure you, however, that it's a perfectly functioning Aetheryte. Remember to attune yourself before we move on. Now, being the diligent tour guide that I am, I should make mention of the Confluence, a research facility located on this very plaza. Its much vaunted discoveries are the reason Sharlayan stands at the forefront of teleportation technology. In deciphering the underlying principles of Allegan Aetherites, it allowed us to understand and reconstruct what was essentially a lost art. And off we go to our next destination. Our path leads northeast to the Agora, Sharlayan's largest marketplace. Cool. And that is a pretty awesome Aetherite. The whole Nautilus shell motif, that's cool. Speaking of Aetherites, those teleportation fees do add up after a while, which is why I tended to rely on the far cheaper ferry services. I was pleasantly surprised when Mistress Dataru informed me that the Scions are reimbursed for transportation costs as part of our duties, but I find old habits hard to break. That, and I'd rather not be bothered filling out the necessary paperwork. Wait a minute, you guys are reimbursed? What the hell? I have to pay to use those things. I don't get money back. That's the entrance to the Confluence. I have no doubt their expertise will prove useful at some point, so I suggest you remember the way here. Okay. So I'm a little bit angry that you guys get money back and I don't. There's the market board. Where's... Ah, there's the summoning bell. Okay. Bookstalls? These little open-air bookstalls are so uniquely Sharlayan. I'd always thought them a common sight until I visited other nations. Huh. Okay. You mind if I browse the shelves for a moment? There might be some hidden gems I've yet to read. Only a moment? How optimistic. Feel free to browse all you like, but we won't wait around for you. Perhaps I'll turn here later then. That's actually really cool. I can't read any of those titles, though. That's awesome, though. While I'm here... Oh. I did have some gil. Nice. Container Bouquet, Tombstone Trader, Apothecary, Materia, Tools, Armor. Huh, okay. Welcome to the Agora. where you can find wares made in Sharlayan, as well as a wide selection of imported goods. They also used to sell questionable prototypes from the various research institutes, but I think that practice has thankfully died out, for the most part. Otherwise, I can think of no better place to stock up for your next big adventure. Am I overselling it? On a more serious note, the next stop on our tour is one which has particular relevance to our ultimate purpose here. We must head back to the Aetheryte Plaza, follow the path north, and climb the stairs up to that imposing building at the very top. So, that building, I think. Albert. Research must needs speak. Ta-da. Huh. That's a really nice spot, though. These little decorative features are typical of Sharlayan architecture. Aside from the researching wing, our headquarters on the Isle of All were rather simple and rustic by comparison. This is the Nymphaeum, an area dedicated to the blessings of water. For Sharlayans, water represents more than a life-sustaining liquid. It is a reminder of the great flood which precipitated the birth of our nation, as well as a symbol of the knowledge which flows from Thaliak's divine ewer. This is the reason you see an abundance of fountains throughout the city, and a propensity for utilizing water as a decorative feature in our architecture. That's really cool, though. This grand structure before you is the Rostra. The name refers to the original public platform erected here, upon which a forum of elected representatives would deliver orations and debate policy. Although the stage has since evolved into council chambers, the nature of the forum and the duties of its members remain largely unchanged. Am I boring you, Raha? You seem awfully distracted. My apologies. From here, one can see the entirety of the city spread out below. Vista put me in mind of my rival in the first. Those who had gathered at the Crystal Tower asked me how they might go about building a new home. Naturally, my answers were all inspired by my knowledge of the finest settlement I could think of, the great city of Sharlayan. And bit by bit, those few buildings grew into a town, a community, the Crystarium. I can almost see its echo. I see. Feel free to come up here whenever you wish. I don't think the counselors would object to you simply enjoying the view. Such memories should be treasured. For now, however, the tour must go on. Our spectacle of sightseeing concludes with the fittingly named Journey's End. Walk down the stairs to the east and continue straight ahead. That is a really cool view, though. This way. Can I go into this house? No. We've arrived at Journey's End. History tells us that this is where those who put ashore with Archon Yenkref built their first homes. In the present day, it serves as the residential district for the most important officials and the oldest Sharlayan families. You'll see that one mansion is clearly larger than its neighbors. That estate belongs to our friends from House Levieur. All things considered, we should probably keep our distance for the time being. With that, we bring our little Sharlayan tour to a close. I hope it has proven to be an entertaining and enlightening experience. Now, shall we head directly to the Baldassian Annex? You remember the way, don't you, Raha? Let me think. We head down towards the harbor, cross the bridge to our right, and follow the back. Okay, correct. After you, Elijah. Yep, after me, but first, I want to get this Ethernet shard. Cool. Oh, another little spot to check out. Right, we cross the bridge here, as I recall. Stick to the path and be careful not to end up back in the Aetheryte Plaza. Sharlayan is full of educational and research institutions, but there are still professors who prefer to establish their own private practices. Not that I ever attended the exclusive schools run by these residences. Perhaps the twins could tell you more. Private Reddit. What? Huh. Interesting. The music changed. As the joyous look in Ra's face has undoubtedly informed you, this is the Baldassian Annex. If you continue up the hill, you'll arrive on the doorstep of Phenomena. But I think we've explored enough for one day. We can take you there another time. Inside with you then. I'm back, and I've brought Elijah and Raha with me. Wait a minute. I think I recognize them. You're right about the ship then. Hello, Graha. Nice to see you again. And it's a pleasure to finally meet you, Elijah. I've heard a many tale of your exploits. Ojika? Ojika Sujika. It's been an age. Allow me to introduce Ojika Sujika. Or Sunjika. Oh, that's a hard name to say. Administration Officer for the students of Baldassian. He oversees our day-to-day business of the Annex. You may recall meeting his cousin, Ejika. Oh yeah. Oh yes, Eureka. I've read the initial reports. Quite a shock to hear what's become of the Isle. Do take care if you have the opportunity to rejoin the expedition. The place is like a second home for the students. The Isle of Val served as our main headquarters, of course. We often had occasion to visit Sharlayan, whether to make use of the city's research facilities, attend conferences, or procure supplies from distant shores. And the annex here was built to provide lodgings for our members while we engaged in such activities. Since our former headquarters, along with the Isle itself, vanished, the annex has served as our base of operations. Okay. And yet it feels so empty. So many lost to us, our organization is a shell of its former self. Day will come when we will see the students rise again. First, we must ensure the Telafroy fall. Through that door on the left, there's the main hall, where we can discuss our options moving forward. Okay. Once everyone arrives, that is. You probably have time to rest before our discussions begin in earnest. I've had private quarters prepared for you in the Andron, so please feel free to make yourself at home. Ah, the nap rooms, perfect for an afternoon doze. Oh, I didn't mean to give you the wrong impression. The chambers are quite well appointed. Far more so than some cheap roadside inn, you may be assured. But simply that we were often so busy with research, or exhausted from journeys abroad, that we would slip into the Andron just to steal a few winks. Thus they became known amongst the students as nap rooms, even if many such naps might last well into the following morning. God, I know that for sure. Say the word and I'll happily show you to your chamber. Hopefully the others won't be too long in coming. We'll wait for you all in the main hall. Nap rooms. I wonder, should I run around to the rest of the city? Not just yet. Oh, okay, hang on. We've got some art to look at. This, like that picture there, what is that? Oh, okay, that's the Sons of Koinok camp. Some Allegan cube of some sort. Crystal Tower. The known world as it is so far. That's cool. Some Garuda artwork. That's really cool. Feeling refreshed and alert? Our colleagues should be wandering in soon, so I suggest we stay here and wait for them to join us.
Pray forgive me. I was delayed.
It's fine, Urianger. We're all here now.
Let's get down to business then, shall we? what may, we must prevent the Telophoroid's plans from coming to fruition. At present, I see two paths for gathering the information which may aid us in achieving that goal. The first involves an investigation into the change which has come over Sharlayan, not to mention the recent inscrutable behavior of the Forum. As most of you know, the 99 members of the Forum are elected from the general populace. This alone guarantees a plethora of opinion with regards to foreign policy. The bibliotheques, for example, are a group of conservatives which would have Sharlayan focus on recording history, while remaining entirely uninvolved in the making of it. And at the other extreme, we have advocates for proactive diplomacy and direct intervention. My grandfather Galef was one such member, as was Archon Louisois. Yet despite our diverse factions and philosophies, the recent vote to deny Eorzea's request for assistance was unanimous. Even more concerning was the fact that many cited other, more pressing duties as justification for their recalcitrance.
Fortuno's refusal in Gridania had those same undertones. 'Twas as if, having stared unblinking into the face of impending doom, he had simply turned away to pursue something more important. But what could that possibly be?
That's the question.
A mystery indeed, and one which I ask for your help to solve. Our future may depend on it. As for our second potential path, it concerns a request made directly to the students of Baldesion. Our organization was founded primarily to study strange and unexplained phenomena the world over. Mysterious relics and ruins, arcane disturbances, and so forth. Compared to our more isolationist Sharlayan colleagues, we have strong connections overseas, namely with scholars and academics who share our passion for the unknown. The request in question comes from one such acquaintance, Nidana, an alchemist residing in distant Favner. Her missive describes the sudden appearance of a tower, and the subsequent summoning of what I can only assume is a lunar primal.
Huh. Interesting.
In response to this threat, the Satrap of Radzat-Han, the individual who governs the city-state, has instructed the alchemists to find a means to deal with the spire.
The artisans of that land are heirs to an ancient tradition, one rather unlike that of their Uldan counterparts. 'Tis possible, nay, probable, that they have gleaned truths unattainable by Eorzea or her Far Eastern allies.
They do, in fact, appear to have a strategy in mind, though it will require further research. To that end, they have requested an introduction to a capable warrior shielded by the blessing of light.
That would be me.
Assuming we divide our forces to pursue both of Kral's lines of inquiry, then having you join the group heading to Thavnair would seem the obvious choice. But the investigation in Sharlayan is of vital importance as well. Equal, I think, to the Thavnarian one, given that the fate of the world may hinge on the results of both.
Yes, it is quite the quandary. Though it is a great imposition and an altogether too common one, our efforts would be more likely to succeed were you to lead the charge on both fronts.
All right.
You are indeed our champion. As to which task to tackle first, we will defer to your decision. Let us next decide how everyone else might best be assigned. As for myself, I shall continue what I've begun in Sharlayan. I should also like to steal the services of an Archon or two.
And thereby gain access to a greater range of reading material. I will help with that.
Allow me to offer my assistance. I have some small amount of experience in the field of research.
Alize and I would also like to help, if you would have us.
anything to understand even a fraction of what our father and the Forum might be thinking.
Of course, the more the merrier.
Right. The rest of us will make the journey to Thavner. Thoughts? Objections?
I passed through Thavner on my way to infiltrate the Empire, and though I'm not qualified to give a guided tour, I did gain a sense of where things lie.
I'll be happy to have you along then. So for this group, it will be you, me, and Urianger.
Give me a moment afterwards, and I'll supply you with all the details of Nadana's request. Consider this hall our rendezvous point once our respective tasks are complete. May our investigations prove fruitful.
Alright, sounds good. I think I'm gonna get the Sharlayan stuff done first, since I'm already here and I kind of want to explore more about this place. And before I do that, I will be right back. Just gonna take care of something real quick. Should only take a moment, folks. Alright, I am back. Let's go ahead and start with Kryle's quest. An unsettling change has come over Sharlayan, but together we will divine the underlying cause of the Forum's callousness. As I mentioned before, however, questioning the counselors directly is a fruitless endeavor. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what and how little they are willing to divulge. Which is why I began scouring Sharlayan's archive of historical records for any hint of a connection of the final days. Suffice it to say that progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skim in a day. But now that I have this band of willing reinforcements, the search should proceed all the swifter. Let us reconvene outside Numenon, shall we? Exit the annex to the right, and you'll find the archives on the western edge of the woods. Okay. I'm gonna skip grabbing that for now. I'm gonna go ahead and continue this one. One more aetheryte up here. I did. My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of Numenon, Sharlayan's greatest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that. For the archives of Numenon extend deep beneath the surface, like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the great Google Library pale in comparison to Numenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Sharlayan is free to enter and peruse its shelves, well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched D'Shtola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alize and Alphino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Sharlayan history or foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you, a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let's be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone benches over there once we've found some promising tomes. Happy reading. Alright. Ooh, big library. Wow, it really does go down for a while, doesn't it? Man, this place is huge. Okay. Long, long ago, on an island in the northern sea, there lived a Roganan man by the name of Yunkref. Yunkref was a student of astrology, and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that Yunkref's crew hauled them aboard his ark, but the danger had not passed. A towering right wave approached and threatened to smash the vessel to pieces. With only moments to spare, Yunkref wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship to safety atop Abalathea's spine. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them, but it was not long before disputes over the dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Yunkref gathered to him his crew and his faithful passengers and abandoned the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast where they built a new ship and intent upon returning to the northern seas. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon that very spot. That settlement prospered and grew, and in time, it became the city of Sharlayan. Huh. Interesting. Many years ago, on the banks of the Thaliak in the Dravanian hinterlands, a Sharlayan colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in structures and services. As rumors spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Sharlayans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognize what had become a flourishing town as an official Sharlayan colony. The Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Sharlayan, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Sharlayan inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Idleshire. Huh. The following chapters go on to introduce the most prominent features of Idleshire. This book does not appear to contain additional information on the Forum, or cover the history of the Sharlayan motherland in greater detail. Okay. This is such a cool spot. Stewards of Wisdom. During the chaos of the 6th Umbral Calamity, Archon Yumkref, founder of Sharlayan, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in the northern empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Sharlayans took to heart the words of their savior, and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other. A nation born from strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of expertise could be bartered for wealth in coin. The more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was that no matter the trials and tribulations of the age, the citizens of Sharlayan would live by their founders' teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew the tools of war, with knowledge deliver the world. Huh. Forever 20 Summers. My beloved seekers of knowledge, have you ever put learning before your health and neglected to feed and rest your body as you should? I, too, once engaged in such foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in philosophical study, I had an epiphany. For all the world's mysteries that drive us to reckless abandon, we have so very few years of life in which to achieve our goals. Thus do I share with you this mantra: I am forever 20 summers young. What? The number itself is unimportant. You could be 19 or 23 or 40. Whatever age you are when you discover this manual, let that be the age you aspire to remain. Through mindful, healthy living, will you extend the time available to spend upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp the greater truths you pursue. In the pages that follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physical condition from a biological, theological, and arcane viewpoint. This book is on the wrong subject. Okay. Still, that's interesting. An introduction to the heavens. Have you ever gazed at the skies above and contemplated the mysteries contained therein? I speak not of shifting cloud patterns, but of the vastness beyond, of the sun and twinkling tapestry of the night. Some think the dome above us to be a finite space, yet amongst the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar's depiction of a boundless sea of stars has firmly taken root. Alas, this heavenly sea remains an unreachable, unknowable destination. There are few indeed who can explain in satisfactory detail why our own star is believed to revolve around the sun. It was the technologists of Aleg who came closest to understanding the laws which govern that starry abyss. It was they who launched Dalamud and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. Having read of their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your interest in this field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you that the eternal constellations were arranged differently in the distant past? Their positions continue to shift almost imperceptibly but measurably as we journey into the future. Would it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? Interesting. So they're not completely ignorant about the things involved with space. In the years which followed the founding of Sharlayan, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays on vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 of the 6th Astral Era, it was ultimately decreed that Sharlayan would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers by means of a nationwide vote. Thus was the form as we know it today conceived and created. Okay. So Sharlayan would be a representative democracy, I think? Played in a similar fashion. Wow, not even letting them inside the house. That sucks. My situation was also complicated. I was raised in Sharlayan, yes, but I was born rather further away. Ooh, background on Graha. In the southern reaches of Ilsabard, in fact. For generations, my people have dwelt in Corvos, coastal region opposite the island of Thavnair. The Alligans founded a city in that fertile land and by ship brought in the subjugated tribes of the Mikote to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign. And when the Fifth Calamity froze the seas solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose to remain, that they might prevent the remnants of Allagan technology from being misused. I was in Corvos under Garlean rule. For the past 50 years, yes, some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces, but Garlemald renamed the region Locus Ammonius. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under the jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the nobles of House Darnus. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Allagan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allagan Eye was no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales, and the decision was made to bury our ties to the knowledge and traditions of Allag. As the last child born with the Allagan Eye, I was given over to the custody of friends and the students of Baldessian, who had me registered as a Sharlayan citizen. Wow. Even Thancred was taken in by Archon Louisoix, was he not? Stories of adopted waifs and rescued orphans are more common among Sharlayans than you might think. Yet regardless of our origins, we are all provided with an equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient perspicacity, we outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. It's exactly why I have such a love for this country, and why I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizens can be proud. You're here? Another good reason to get to the bottom of the forum's stubbornness. Yeah. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into these books, Elijah. More company should be arriving any moment now. What kind of phenomena did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? A complete destabilization of creation magics. stars raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. They say it began with a keening sound from the land itself. We never did hear the sound ourselves, of course, pressed as we were into the midst of madness. Huh. So the ground was crying out, you say, to consider the harbinger of doom. Must have been quite distinctive, probably quite loud. I'll have to speak with Numenon's mammoths and ask if they have any books with mention of such a sound. Last but not least, could you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? They summoned Zodiark. Yes, with Elidibus serving as his heart, so many gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. We do not know how exactly Zodiark brought salvation to the star, only that his godlike will were the laws of nature set right. Then once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was these fledgling souls they intended to render unto Zodiark, a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Vana and her followers not manifested their opposition in the form of Hydaelyn. There's that name again, Vana. I learned a little bit about them in that one archive. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder if the Telophori truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. You've seen what they're doing with the towers of theirs. Is forcing people to summon primals a kind of catalyst? Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech, a convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash? All this is just pointless conjecture at this stage. Let us return our attention to the forum, shall we? Yeah. And the last, am I? Well, my extended search of the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you recall, Orianger learned the source's reflections from Garen oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, the tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away in the Great Google Library. It is even less likely that knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, would be left sitting on a shelf for any curious scholar to find. It stands to reason, then, that my colleagues, be they archons or counselors, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. Yet when you confronted Master Fortuno with knowledge of the Telophori and their machinations, he scoffed at the suggestion that they would propose a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know that the final days were truly upon us. which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the form's behavior, it is being kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty. Whether they contain mention of the final days or no, these books could yet hold something of value. You weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. Ah, crap. You labor for what feels like an age as Ishtola's research assistant. Thank you for your help, but I think I can manage the rest without your assistant. If I were you, I'd steal a few quiet moments for myself. Oh dear, you look exhausted. What about your studies? Were you able to find any books on the subjects I mentioned? Then the day was well spent. Should you wish to read them again, a mehmet at the reference desk will point you in the right direction. For the moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. We might be occupied with the research for quite some time. Hey. Ready for a tea break, Elijah? I know I am. Honestly, my neck and shoulders are going to calcify if I don't stretch my legs and walk around for a bit. You know the last stand down in the harbor, don't you? Come and meet me near the outside tables and I'll treat you to their coffee. It's quite good. Hey. Let's take a peek at the Aetheryte shard. See if there's any others close by that I can grab. Studio. Did I not get one at Journey's End? No, I didn't get that one. Okay. So I'll go grab that one. It should be straight down here. You've attuned yourself to all the Ethernet shards in Old Sharlayan. Nice. And the music here is so good. As busy as ever, I see. How very Sharlayan. And no other gourmet cafe has sprung up to compete for customers. Actually, this crowd gives me an idea. Before we place an order, why don't we ask a few questions and gauge the mood of the city? I'm interested to hear what the average citizen has to say about Telafroy. We might even learn something new. Worth a try, don't you think? a bad idea. What is this? Can a man not enjoy a moment of private respite? If you're looking to share a table, I respectfully request that you look elsewhere. You misunderstand, sir. We were simply wondering if you knew of the Telafroi. These enemies of peace have promised an end to all we hold dear. What? You're that House Lavallure girl, aren't you? And this man with you is obviously a foreigner. I'd heard you were disowned for helping outsiders indulge their barbaric whims, and here you are giving truth to the rumor. I think you'd leave me be, not to say the likes of you. Oh, I must apologize. It is foolish of me to expect an ounce of civility from one so enlightened. Wow, this dude's a dick. Yes, I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Pray excuse the interruption, but we were hoping you might share our thoughts on the Telafroi and their unconscionable plans. If isn't the young Miss Lavallure, my apologies, but I work in the offices of the Forum, and if word reached Master Fortuno that I was helping you... See, I'm sorry to have bothered you. Yeah, it seems, Alice, that you're not helping. Sir, what can I offer you today? Is that Mr. Alizé I see there? My word, how long has it been? Far too long. Meet Dickon, the owner of The Last Stand. I used to frequent his cafe on occasion, in between lessons at the studium. Seems like an age now. I remember hearing that you and Master Alphino had set sail for Eorzea, then you never came back. Lately there's been gossip about your father disowning the pair of you. Everything alright at home? Boy. It's complicated. And I hadn't expected complete strangers to be so familiar with our situation quite so quickly. Everyone has an opinion, it seems. Well, it is House Lavallure. No matter how discreet Master Fortuno may have been, news of your family's doings never stays secret for long. Things being what they are, what brings you back to the city now of all times? We have questions, and only Sharlayan has the answers. Tell me, Master Dickon, have you heard anything about an apocalypse called the Final Days? Well, like the end of the world? Nothing like that, I'm afraid. And that's what you're here to find? Information on this apocalypse? Whatever we can learn. Unfortunately, your patrons appear to be unwilling to speak with me. I wish there was more I could do to help. Maybe there is. You're a visitor to Sharlayan, aren't you? Then few will know your face. We should be able to pass you off as a server with none the wiser. We just finished preparing a few orders. Strike up some friendly conversation while you're getting down the food, and you might just be able to get the answers you're looking for. Huh. Interesting. Not a bad idea. Hey Taz, what do you think? Yeah, could do that, I think. That's the spirit. Pay attention now, and I'll explain where each of these dishes needs to go. Alright, let me get something, because... Okay. Tea set. Chatty Water's Edge. Omelet, one of our regulars, Highlander. Gisela. Okay, omelet. Gisela. Side table. Behind them, you should see a Mikote gentleman. He ordered the oven-baked lobster. think I got it. Alright, let's go. Tea set. Lafahu? Never heard of them or their final days. My friends and I are somewhat uninformed when it comes to current events. Now, if you want to hear about the ritual arcane practices of the 6th Astral Era or common or esoteric, I'd be happy to talk your ear off. The omelet. 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's dig in. Twaffroy. Ah yes, I remember seeing that name in the latest Gazette. That and some grand claim about the end of days. Same old senseless warmongering. When will these fools grow tired of spilling each other's blood? Best stay out of it, I say. The Forum made the right choice, and I fully support our decision to remain neutral. Oven-baked lobster. Alas, the oven-baked lobster is mine. You have no idea how long I've scrimped and saved and suffered to afford this heavenly dish. Final days is the first I've heard of it, although that would explain why my friend has been rushed off his feet. Must be a busy time to be a gleaner. A gleaner? You don't know what a gleaner is? They're collectors of a sort. Travel the world to curate things that we haven't got here in Sharlayan. Priceless books, unusual live specimens, and so forth. So named for those folk who trail after the reapers in the fields, picking up every grain which was missed. Aye, by all accounts, gleaning is a most meticulous and demanding profession. These Telafroi make good on their audacious threats, and many uncatalogued rarities could be lost forever. Why else would the gleaners be buzzing about in such a frenzy? Watch the harbor and you'll see what I mean. They're carting loads in from the docks all day. It's never been this hectic before, not like this. Interesting. We've got a lead. Someone talking about gleaners hauling more goods than usual. They seem unaware of the final days, aside from whatever vague news the gazettes are printing. Even Dickon had nothing to offer, and he's the best source of gossip in the city. If the Forum does have secret knowledge, then they've done an impressive job of ensuring no one whispers in the wrong ear. In any case, thank you for playing the part so well. Here, the cup of coffee I promised. Let's enjoy our drink somewhere else, shall we? Maybe behind the peristyle, away from the gossips and their wagging tongues. Sounds like a plan. This is a really nice spot, actually. Out of the wind, out of sight.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Sharlayan? Graham said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been, how being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently.
Hello. Those must be the Gleaners.
They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos.
To where?
A vast complex beneath the island. Sharlayan is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility.
Interesting.
Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait! Didn't you hear something in the last stand about the Gleaners coming and going more than usual? I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And Gleaners answer to the Forum.
Aha!
If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
Good job. Looks like we gotta find a way to get into this Labyrinthos. Nope. Come on. We should tell the others what we learned about the Gleaners. Go on ahead to Numenon, and I'll join you in a moment. Master Dickon will want his cups back. And I... What is this about? Are you Elijah? Yeah, that's me. It is you. I knew I'd be the first to track you down. Who's the guild ship's top hunter now, eh? Wait, you have heard of guild ship hunts, yes? Ooh, hunts! Not so different from the hunts you're familiar with in Eorzea, as I understand it. I'd wager they're rather more challenging, but an adventurer of your caliber would never turn down a challenge, would you? No, you would not. Please speak with Northoda at the Peristyle to register your interests at your earliest convenience. Yeah, hunts. Let's do it. I was half convinced I'd set the others on an impossible task. Capable individuals remain on the sticking point. Few hailing from our fair ports are willing to take up arms, let alone able to stand against more fearsome specimens. place, collect samples. Try not to think about the long-term effects of touching said samples and get paid. That being said, I wouldn't dream of throwing you in the deep end just yet. Let's have you start off with some junior marks just so you can get your feet wet. Nice. Here we go. Let's go talk to Kryle and see about getting into this Labyrinthos place. Wait a minute. Beavis? Oh my god, he's hideous. Wandering minstrel, huh? Still, oh my god, what happened to his face? Welcome back. Information on the Gleaners. Makes sense. The Gleaners take their requests directly from institutions and bureaucrats. Okay. Sudden significant increase certainly gives the impression of an overarching plan being put into motion. Yeah. Okay. What should we expect down there? Hate to spoil the surprise. Okay. As for myself, few other subjects I want to research. Okay. On the stairs over there. I'll show you where the entrance is. Alright. Let's go. Labyrinthos is not too far from here, and I find the path a bit disorienting. Take the lead, so stay close. Oh, she's walking. I hate this. Okay, listen up. Any game developers, if your character walks slower than normal walking speed, that needs to be a big no-no, okay? If they're slower than normal walking speed and slower than normal running speed, that's awful. This is okay though. I can deal with this. Through this door and down the stairs. You did remember to enter the shard back there, didn't you? It will make your life much easier if you need to come back in a hurry. Otherwise, we should keep moving. Huh. Interesting. Chocobo Keep. Traveler, might I introduce? I don't need that right now, thank you though. Inform learn of the final days and exactly how much do they know? And more to the point, what do they intend to do about it? Yeah, let's find out. Taking the liberty of securing permission for our group's descent. Everyone on the lift and down we go.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky.
Whoa.
In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves. And this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Okay, this place is cool.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing.
It almost looks like the area around Limsa.
But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today.
Interesting.
It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
Ugh.
Kryl? You good?
Did you call to me just now?
No. Kryl, are you okay?
No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
Aaronville? You here to help or give me more headaches? Because you don't have the look of a gleaner, and I'm in no mood for idle chatter. One of my colleagues was so exhausted he took a tumble and crashed into a pile of crates. Now I have a pack of marmots running loose. Interesting. So they're being overworked, maybe? Let's actually go ahead and repair some of my gear. Let me think. The Rhea seeds should be item 1058. Cumin seeds 1059. Snurbbleberry 1060, or were they 1061? My head feels like it's stuffed with moko grass. Why more loads to take out than carry in? Why do all this at once and risk mixing it up? What if someone mistakes the Kurthan carrots for the Garabanian carrots? What then? So shipments are coming in and going out. Yeah, Sharlayan hemp. That's a lot of crates. Those are some big crates too. You want to know what I'm doing? Hauling books, and fauna. If it needs hauling, I haul it. Every decade or so, they take stock in Labyrinthos. You know, sort and tidy up the inventory. Never seen an operation like this before. They just did one a few summers ago even. Then, with no warning at all, this mess gets dropped in our laps. Orders from on high. Damned if I know the reason. Could be that they're changing the layout, eh? Preparing for the next big expansion. Okay. So they're real interested in people taking stock. Getting a ton of shipments in. Where to start? Yeah. God. I used to work in a stock room and this is giving me nightmares. Flashbacks to nightmare scenarios. Good God. Although I will say that all of this is very well organized. Much better organized than anything I ever had to deal with. here's my notes. So this grand operation began without warning. For every item they bring in, they're sending more inventory somewhere else. That would explain the haggard faces I've been seeing. We were right. The Forum is definitely up to something, and they're turning Labyrinthos upside down in the process. We do well to learn more of what specifically the Gleaners are being tasked to do, as well as who has tasked them to do it. If you're gay, Malaysia, I have an idea. Okay. Didn't one of the Gleaners you questioned say something about escaped marmots? Perhaps if you were to help him capture said creatures, he might be inclined towards a more friendly and enlightening conversation. In the meantime, I'll turn my charms upon this Gleaner here. We can compare notes afterwards. You wish to help me find the marmots. I have nothing suitable to pay you for your services, but if you're offering out of the goodness of your heart, I welcome the assistance. The name is Ironville, friend, specialist in the collection of live specimens. That said, the capture of these Nanshin marmots is a trial I've no desire to repeat. Grizzled mice, they call them. For a mercy, there are no other marmot species on this tier at present, so they should be no mistaking our little fugitives. If you happen to catch any, stuff them in this sack. Gently, of course. Of course. Where to begin, you wonder? I've not seen any scampering around here, so we'll need to widen our search into the surrounding forest. Be on your guard, there are beasts out there that won't hesitate to prey on a marmot or you. Got it. I'll search the trees to the west. The eastern part of the forest is all yours. Good luck. Alright. Hey. You're one of my hunt targets. Oh, I know what this is all about. Let's get it over with. Alright, you little jerk. Into the sack. Ah. Damn it. Okay. I wonder... There's an ether current up here, maybe. Couple more trolls. Let's avoid those, shall we? I wonder... Now, what kind of monster are you gonna throw at me this time? Oh. No big deal to handle you. Alright, come on. Ah, really? Little jerk. Uh-oh. Alright, never mind then. Or maybe not. Where is this? There you are. Well, they're good at hiding, if nothing else. Alright, come on. Track down 3 of the pack, leaves 1 unaccounted for. That'll be this one. Wait here a moment while I put our friends in a holding cage. Thankfully, the marmots seem to be unharmed. They've held up well in isolation, but it's much too soon to release them into the habitat. It's a good thing we were able to recapture them so swiftly. Have my thanks. Who tasked you to capture them in the first place? Why, the authority in charge of Labyrinthos, now and in perpetuity. Same officials who've had us working day and night as of late, the honorable members of the Forum. Who else? Suitable for consumption and easy to breed. Those were the 2 conditions I was given for the stock I was instructed to procure. I didn't know what the Forum has planned for these creatures, but at the very least I doubt they'll be served for dinner today or tomorrow. Okay. Is this the gleaner you mentioned? One who is looking for lost marmots? Interesting company you keep, friend. Who are you folk, anyway? Kryl, students of Baldesion, the others are my associates. Truth be told, the Forum's decisions, as of late, have not set entirely well with us. That is why we made the descent into Labyrinthos. We hope that by seeing those decisions put into action, we might more fully understand their reasoning. Wise and practical. Never hurts to try and gain a broader perspective, does it? Anyway, duty calls. Other animals to capture and enclosures to empty. Once again, I'm sorry that I can't offer you more for your services. Okay. Did you learn anything new from your friend there? I learned a thing or two. So we've confirmed the order of the ambitious operation did indeed come directly from the Forum. However, the Gleaners had not been informed of its purpose. I'd say that fits with everything we've been hearing thus far. Also discovered when the operation was begun. The Forum contacted the Gleaners Guild ship and put their people to this great work some 4 days after Tlafroy made their chilling declaration. As seasoned travelers, the Gleaners keep abreast news, as I'm inclined to trust their calendar of events is accurate. Altogether, it gives a distinct impression that this undertaking was a sudden and unexpected development. And I find it hard to believe that such a comprehensive restructuring of Labyrinthos and its archives. Okay. Kryl. Truly, the sudden descent left me with a bit of a headache, that's all. Nothing that will stop me from soldiering on. Just be about it. At least allow me to take the lead. I'm fairly certain I remembered the way to the Arcarian. Follow the path east, through the forest where you were chasing after the mouse, or marmot was it? Anyway, it is the trolls you need to watch out for. Something with Kryl doesn't quite sit right with me right now. Alright. I think this is a good place to call it for now. Thank you, everyone, for joining with me today. I very much appreciate it, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.